Hello, good evening, and welcome to today's program. My name is Tunde Disu, and this is Become a Better Man. On today's program, we are looking at a topic that I have titled, Are You Your Own Worst Enemy? Are you your own worst enemy? Now, I know that you might be thinking, what kind of a topic is that? Ride with me. You will find out as we go along. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, sir. In life, we have plans. We have goals. We set different milestones for ourselves. We want to achieve this. We want to become that. We want to arrive at this junction. We want to become this. And as noble and as wonderful as those things are, and as much as we put in our efforts into getting to those milestones, achieving those goals and getting the results that we set our hearts towards, sometimes we become our own worst enemies. Sometimes we paralyze ourselves from achieving those goals. Sometimes we become the obstacles and the hindrances towards achieving those goals. And that is what we'll be looking at on tonight's program, because it could be that you're trying your best. You're giving it all you've got. Your heart is right. Your effort is there. Your commitment is there. Dedication and the discipline to get it done. All these ingredients, all these necessities are in place. And yet you are not achieving, you are not arriving, you are not making progress. Maybe as quickly as you thought you should do. Maybe as fast as you expected. And you are wondering, what is going on? Now, before you start pointing accusing fingers at others, before you start looking at who is sabotaging your effort, before you start checking with your friends and your neighbors, your spouse and your families, to see which of them is causing this seemingly lack of progress, I think the first place you should look at is within yourself. Is to ask yourself, what is it about me that is causing this lack of progress? Why am I not making progress? Why am I not achieving the things I have set my heart to? And I'm doing all the work, I'm putting in the time, the commitment, the effort, and everything. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. I'll say that again. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. You see, many are the wishes of men, they say, but only the counsel of God will stand. There are many things that we want to be, we like to have, we like to achieve and working towards. But sometimes we make mistakes. Mistakes are inevitable. They are part and parcel of life. Mistakes are some of the biggest ways you can learn in life. Now, you don't obviously go out deliberately to make mistakes, to trip yourself up. But guess what? There are some bends you can't see around. There are some things you can't predict. And there are times when the mistakes are not even because you can't avoid them. There are times when our mistakes are as a result of our own blunders, as a result of our own laziness, as a result of our own rashness or inflexibility, or just plain ignorance, where you don't know as much as you should do before you embark on this project. As you continue down this journey, maybe there are things you need to learn. Maybe there are things you need to take on board. And guess what? That is what this platform is all about. Become a better you. These are little things, as you can see, that we've been adding to ourselves as we've been going on this journey for the past 60 weeks. We have been adding little nuggets, little wisdom, little pockets to ourselves to get us to become better at who we are. Honest mistakes can be costly. Mistakes that are made genuinely, not because you you trip up. But when there are mistakes, they can be costly. They can be very costly. But you see, as frustrating as they are, the one that really rip your heart out, the one that really breaks your back and really give you an uppercut that you have to nurse for weeks and sometimes for months, are those mistakes that you know and I know. We know that these are avoidable errors. These are errors that are, this shouldn't be happening at this time. But here we are, we're dealing with them. They are usually very expensive, and they hit you right in your stomach. You just want to, you don't know how to take it. The thoughts, the mere thoughts that I should have seen this coming, I could have avoided this, is even more painful sometimes than the errors themselves. You see, normally in life, we all plan to, nobody plans to fall. Nobody plans to fail. But when it happens, there are two categories of people. We have the people, those who will fall down. While they are down there, they will look and ascertain what is the reason why I'm on my face on this floor. And while they're there, they will find the reason, they will learn from it, they will get up, dust off their shirts and clean their trousers and get back on the track and start going and learning from the mistakes they've made. Then there's this other kind of people that when they fall, the first thing they do is they look back to see who tripped me, who was responsible for this issue that I'm having, who can I blame? And they start pointing fingers at others. They blame the weather, they blame the government, they blame their spouse, they blame their children, and everybody else is at fault but themselves. See, people like that, they don't learn. And that is why they repeat the same mistake over and over and over again. But a thoughtful person, a person that really wants to go places in life, they will sit back and ponder and meditate and consider, how did this happen? What could I have done better? Should I have said this? And they learn from their mistakes. But in order for you to do that, in order for you to be this person that will sit back and learn and reason and find out what is it about you that has resulted in this thing, people like that, what they have is what I call honest self-appraisal. Honest self-appraisal. They look inward. They look inward first. They look at themselves first. They consider their part in the issue first before they start looking at, could there be some external factors? Usually there are, but most of the time, when you start with yourself, when you start looking from the inside out, you stand a better chance of learning than to look for who is the scapegoat. You can become better. You can become a better you when you recognize the symptoms of what are the things that people do to handicap themselves. How do people trip themselves up? What are some of the things that we do unknowingly in most cases that actually are sabotaging our efforts, that are causing us not to achieve, not to arrive, not to excel in the things that we know we have the ability, we have the resources, we have the capacity, the environment is good, and yet things are not producing the results that we expect. So on this program, in the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at some of these self-sabotaging aspects or occurrences or decisions or actions that we take that is really the roadblock that we're constantly hitting. that is really the seemingly mountain that we can't climb over, that is seemingly the obstacle that is stopping us dead in our tracks to become all that we could be and all that we are capable of being. So we're going to be looking at the symptoms of some of these common troubling behaviors, some of these sabotaging behaviors, some of these handicapping behaviors that is really robbing us of the progress that we're supposed to be making. All in all, there are 5 of them, at least at this stage. And what I'm planning to do, time permitting, is that every week we will look at each one of these obstacles or one of these limiting behavioral patterns that we have and we act on and we display unknowingly as the things that are handicapping us and blocking us and stopping us from being who we are. On today's program, we're going to be looking at the issue, the idea, the notion, the tendency that we all have and we all do, that we all practice, and that is comparing ourselves with others. Comparing yourself with other people is one of the most injustice, is one of the most debilitating action that you can take. Is one of the most sabotaging action that any one of us can take. Now, before I go into that, let me make this abundantly clear. There is nothing, I am not saying completely you should not look at what is happening in your environment, what is happening with your peers, where your peers are, where your colleagues are, what is happening in their lives, in their career, and use that to challenge yourself. There is nothing wrong with that. The issue is when you abandon psychologically, mentally, emotionally, physically, when you abandon, when you jettison, when you completely shut down your race and start looking and running another person's race. When you start to compare yourself with others from a negative connotation, from a negative mindset, from a negative approach, you are actually your own biggest enemy. You are actually your own biggest saboteur. You are actually your own biggest, you actually imprison yourself. You see, the life that we live, the society in which we exist, the environment that we live our lives in the first place, is very highly, extremely hyper competitive. It is called the survival of the fittest. We are in a jungle, and therefore it is highly competitive. There are more of us than there are resources to go around. There are more of us than there are opportunities. There are more of us than there are avenues to exercise and become what and how we should be. I'm not disputing that. In fact, that is the fact of life. So I recognize the fact that we live in a hyper competitive world. And sometimes you get home at night and it's like you've been in the ring with Mike Tyson on one hand, Joshua on the other hand, and Klitschko, and you look bruised, battered, and I mean things have happened. You are worn out because of what you've had to deal with throughout the day. And usually, even people with the best confidence and the highest ego and the self-assurance that is as strong as ironclad, they can get bruised. Not to talk of those who are still work in progress like most of us. But the damage of this hyper-competitive environment that we are, and the effect of that it will always have on us, the damage is even exacerbated when we constantly measure ourselves by other people's standard. When we constantly compare ourselves by other people's position, by other people's achievements, by other people's accolades and recognition and what they have and how they're living and where they're living and what they're driving. When you constantly negatively compare yourself and talk yourself down, how come I'm not like my mate? You see, the truth is this. Even children, twins born the same day by the same mother and father on the same hospital bed, can't be the same. They will grow up and find their levels they will be at different levels at different times. So when you start to use other people's standard to measure yourself, you are actually tying your own hands behind your back and crippling, breaking your limbs and really putting yourself in bondage. There's nothing wrong in being aware of the competition in the environment where you are. But when the focus on that becomes too much, when the focus on it becomes like a limiting lead that you're putting on yourself, it is bad for business and it is worse for self-confidence. To maximize success, to really get the best out of success in life, it is necessary for you to, what I would call, tune out like you tune a radio or a TV or anything that works on wavelength. Tune out and lock the door to the outside world. Shut them completely outside of your heart, so that you can use the energy that you could have used wondering what is happening in Mr. John's house and Mrs. Peter's house and this person's and that person. Oh, they've done this. Oh, now this is what they're doing. Oh, this is where they are. You can harness that energy and focus on improving yourself. The truth is this, ladies and gentlemen. You, me, myself, Tunde, I am the greatest competitor that I have. You are the chief competitor to yourself. Every time you look in the mirror, that person that you see in the mirror is your greatest competitor. And the reason I say that is the person that you need to defeat. That is the person that you need to get better than. That is the person that you need to contend with. What do I mean by that? That is the person that you must look straight in there and say, this is where you were yesterday, but guess what? I'm raising the bar to this level, and then to this level, and constantly getting better at being who you are, getting better at yourself, doing better with yourself, by yourself, for yourself, than you were yesterday or last week or last month. You will go far if you can do this, if you can constantly compete with yourself. You will eventually learn to turn blind eyes and deaf ears to these elusive rivalries that are seemingly out there. If you are able to compete with yourself, see yourself as your own competitor, run against yourself, challenge yourself, raise the bar for yourself, push yourself a little bit harder, challenge yourself to be better than you were last week or last month or last year. When you do that, your eyes will be blind, your ears will be deaf to the noise going around you, and you will continue to become better at who you are and what you are, and who you are, and what you are, and who you are, and what you are. You and I, we have a race to run. And we cannot live our lives on other people's agenda and purpose. The truth is, there are no two people that are exactly the same. When God created me, there's a purpose in his heart when he created me. When he created you, there is a purpose. There was a purpose in God's heart when he created you. So, if that is the case, how will I be successful in who God created me to be and fulfill the purpose for which he created me, if all I'm doing is running your own race, living my life after your own pattern, shadowing what you are doing and how you are doing? I will be a complete, total failure in who God created me to do, just by me shadowing and comparing myself with you. When you compare yourself to others, it will not only make you vain and bitter. When you compare yourself to others, when you use other people's life to judge yourself, to determine your worth, to establish your standard and your quality in life, you will live a life that is vain and bitter. Because irrespective of how much energy you put into being like them, you will never be them. But worse than that, you will not even be you. So you are not being them and you are not being you. What's the point? Your true identity will only be revealed when you run your life in your own lane and pursue your own purpose. You see, fulfillment in life is not tied to the abundance of things that you have. Fulfillment in life is primarily finding the purpose for which you were created and pursuing that purpose to achieve it. That is fulfillment. But if you keep comparing yourself with others and using other people to judge and determine whether you are successful or not, guess what? You will never be successful because you are running on another person's lane. And that, in any athletics competition, is a disqualification ground. When you comparing yourself with others is an insult on your own being. It's an insult on your own person. It's an insult on even the God that created you for a purpose. When you compare yourself to others, you limit yourself. You reduce your ability to the person you are comparing yourself to, not to your God-given potentials. Your ability to achieve and fulfill and become is now reduced, is limited to the standard that you're measuring yourself with, when in actual fact there is a bigger and greater potential lying dormant on the inside of you, crying out to come out. When you compare yourself with others, you will not only reach their level, but when you compare yourself with others, when you compare yourself with others, you can only go as far as their level, because they are the yardstick, they are the barometer, they are the standard you have set for yourself. But when you compare yourself with yourself, when you use yourself as your measuring yardstick, when you use yourself as your main rival that you are competing with, you push yourself. It pushes you to your highest level, and for you to bring forth your best and your ultimate potentials. There are many people out there today who cannot look at themselves in the mirror and smile. Do you know why? When they look at themselves in the mirror, all they see is failure, inadequate, shortage, not measuring up, below standard. That is all they see. That is all they can see. Because to them, on the road to arise and shine, because they keep comparing themselves to others and living other people's life, they get lost in the process. They lose who they are. Their own identity, their person, the essence of who they are is lost in the midst of the so many comparisons going on in their lives. And that is why a lot of people don't know who they are. Because every time you are in the company of this person, you want to adjust to be like him or her. Then you move from the office that you've been trying to form and be part of and get into and become like them. Then you move from the office to onto the train. Now there are other people on the train, and now you want to adjust yourself to fit into their mold. Then you come out of the train, and now you are walking down the road, and there are other people on the other side. Now you have to adjust yourself to be like them. And the more you do that, you are restless, you are draining yourself of energy, you lack focus, you don't know where you are going, you don't even know who you are. And in the process, you get lost in the mist. Most people, for the purpose of just looking good and being and for the purpose of wanting to fit in, to shine in the eyes of others, they become blind to themselves. They become blind to themselves. You see, when you compare yourself with others, these are some of the questions that will torment you. These are some of the some of the questions that will constantly be on your mind, be on your heart, constantly challenge you. You'll be asking, why me? Why can't I be like them? Why can't I be like them? I wonder who the them in your life is today. Why can't I have what they have? Why can't I live where they live? Why can't I drive what they're driving? Why can't my children go to the school where their children go? And a why, and a why, and a why, and a why. Do you know what? Even when you get the why, there will still be another question. Because there is a Z after the why. So even getting the why, the answer to your why, will still not satisfy you because you are living in other person's skin. You are living in somebody else's identity. Comparison can easily grow out of objective reasoning, like I said at the beginning, where you really need to check yourself and challenge yourself. There is nothing wrong with objective reasoning and an objective objectively challenging yourself. But when you compare yourself constantly and permanently with others, you can easily grow out of this zone, this realm of objective reasoning, to negative thought patterns. You become suspicious. You don't even know what they do. You just see them go in the morning. You don't even know what they do for living. Don't be deceived. I mean, how can they imagine they doing that job and they living like that? I mean, tell me, does that really compare? You become suspicious of others. You become judgmental. Your attitude becomes toxic. You resent people. You hate people. But worse than that, you hate yourself. Because your judgmental attitude, your suspicious attitude, your resentment is born out of you not being who you are. Yes, you loathe them. Yes, you give the vibes that you don't like them. But every minute of your life, you are trying to be like them. And because you are not them, you cannot be like them. And that beats you up even more so. I don't know if this is... I don't know how you are receiving this. I don't know if this is actually making sense to you. Because over the years, I have had the privilege of sitting down with a lot of people, either as friends or as mentor, as counselor, or just as somebody to talk to. And it's amazing how many times I've had to help people in this area, in this aspect, to say, come on. Just look at it from this point of view. If God wants you to be them, he will have created you them. Number two, if your parents want you to be them, they will have given you their name, not your name. The fact that you are not them, you are not created like them, the fact that you have a different identity, albeit name-wise, should tell you that you are different from them. Comparison leads to sadness, self-hatred, envy, bitterness, ungratefulness, unfriendly rivalry. See, these are some of the things, some of the fleas that will attach themselves to you when you live your life constantly, permanently comparing yourself negatively with others. When you compare yourself with others, it makes you to see what others have and what you don't have. Rather than counting your blessings and naming them one by one and appreciate how good God has been to you, all you can see is what you don't have. All you can see is what they have. And the funny thing is, that will lead you to the point where you start thinking, oh, if I can have what they have, if I can drive what they drive, if I can go on holiday like them, then I'll be happy. No, you will still not be. Because even when you arrive at that point, you will then see another person that is better than you, and the whole circle will start all over again. It is so easy to get wrapped up in the idea that because someone else has something that you don't have, they are better than you. Seriously? You should visit the hospital lately. Just walk down the ward in the hospital and stop by at each bed and ask those people on those beds, what would you rather have? All your money in the bank? All your houses in all the continents of the world? All the big office that you have, or the achievements that you've accumulated, all the accolades and children and this and that you have, that's your yacht or your house, your car, your holiday, whatever it is. Ask them, what would you rather have? All those things put together, or you getting up from this bed and walking out just to see the sunshine. And they will tell you, I would trade off all those things 10 times and over if it will give me my health, if it will give me my spouse, if my children will come back home, if my sanity will come back to me. So before you start beating yourself up because you don't have what other people have, what other people have, you should just think about it. What they have that you don't have, and you're beating yourself up for it. Guess what? They are thinking that you are better than them because you have something that they don't have. That's life. They have a lot of money. Oh, they are swimming in it. But they have no peace in their heart. They have no joy in their lives. Their health is suffering. They can't even recognize their own spouse or their own children. And that's the person you are envying. And that's the person you are comparing yourself with. And that's the person you're hoping, you wish you can be like. Really? The truth is this, ladies and gentlemen. if we can think objectively, if we can sit down and think and process in reality of where we are and who we are, we will not be envious of anybody, because you don't know what is under that jacket, what they are covering up with that car, what is behind that door. Once that door slams shut, you don't know what is going on in that house. When you compare yourself with others, you are bringing them up to see their qualities. But at the same time, you are putting yourself down because you think you don't have those qualities. When you compare yourself with others, you are failing woefully to see the amazing qualities that you possess, the big potentials that you are sitting on. Instead of you focusing on what you don't have, why don't you look on the inside to examine and see what you have? See, I don't know if most people, you probably have heard of the 80-20 rules. Let me apply the 80-20 rules in this instance of comparison. When you compare yourself with others, this is what usually happens. You already have 80% of everything life can give. You already have 80%. But you are pursuing and agonizing and running after that remaining 20%. Wonderful, good effort. But what people tend to do is they abandon the 80%, they disregard the 80% they already have, they kick the 80% out of their lives in pursuing the 20% that they think they need to have a fulfilled life. And what will happen usually is when they about to arrive at the 20%, it will move further and move further and move further because it's elusive. It's not real. So it will get to a time they're now tired of pursuing after the 20%. They say, oh, well, at least I've tried. I'll just go and manage what I have. I already have 80% anyway. And then they will come back only to find out that the 80% is gone. The 80% has depleted to 10%. The 80% has become a 5%. So, tell me, are they better off or worse off now? Their 80% has become 10%. The 20% they were pursuing, they've got zero for it. And that is what happens when you live your life comparing yourself with others, diminishing your own value and condemning yourself and your purpose, your identity, losing who you are, all in the name of wanting to be like them. You know the old saying, you're just trying to be like the Joneses. But guess what? The Joneses are tired. They are tired of making up. They are tired of acting out. They are tired of pretense. They are tired of make-believes. Meanwhile, that's what you've been chasing after all along. Can you see how this seemingly meaningless, it doesn't matter really, it's not a big deal. Can you see how this tendency that we all have to compare ourselves with others negatively in terms of believing that we're not good enough, we're not measuring up, we're not this and that, can you see how much that can stop you from fulfilling your purpose, from achieving your goal? Each one of us have a distinctive personality and a unique appearance. God so made us so much so that there are no two people with the same fingerprints in the world, or iris, or voice, or this, or DNA. No, not two people. Do you know why? Because we are unique in who we are. God put us in this body specifically for a purpose that only you, only me can fulfill and deliver here on earth. Of the over 7 billion people on planet Earth, there is something that only you can do and nobody else. There is something that only you can bring to this world and nobody else. Imagine that. Just try to conceptualize 7 billion people, and you are the only one that can do and be and bring and achieve and deliver that thing. I think that should make you realize how valuable you are to this earth, how valuable you are to the purpose of God. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to stop comparing yourself with others negatively, quickly, this is what you need to do. Number one, recognize your differences. You are different. Like I've said, you are different from everybody else. Just recognize it. See, most people tend to compare their weaknesses with other people's strength. Already, that is a no-brainer. Your own weakness is compared to my own strength. You're not going to win. You are not going to win because you are comparing two things that are not equal, that are not on the same playing field, that are not exactly the same in quality, in weight, in measure, in anything. They're not the same. Your weakness against my strength. You 10 times a day, I'll trump you. When you compare your inside with somebody's outside, when you compare what you haven't accomplished with what other people already have, including, listen to this, you are comparing what you don't have with what other people have, including those people that started way years before you were born. And now you're comparing yourself. You're already running a lost race. Whenever you notice yourself comparing yourself with another person, hold yourself. Take a moment to remind yourself that you are good enough in your own skin. Take a moment to arrest that thought and say to yourself, I am valuable. I am worthy of God. I have a place here on earth that only me can feel. Even when you don't see when you don't see in yourself what you see in others, guess what? They are seeing in you what they don't have. So, what's the point? So, in order for you to stop comparing yourself with others, you must recognize that you are different, and you must recognize that you are unique. And you cannot compare your weakness to their strength because it will never measure up. Number two, way of stopping yourself from comparing. Number two, way of stopping to compare yourself with others is for you to identify your triggers. What are those things that triggers that sense, that desire, that willingness, that compulsion to compare yourself with other people? Is it where you see them? Is it where you hear about them? Is it where you read about them? Is it where you just think about them? Is it when you Especially in this day and age that we have Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, and everybody is posting different things on their Facebook. If you compare yourself based on what you see on all these social media, you will just run yourself aground. Do you know why? A lot of people only put what you think is their picture is a Photoshop, the one that they have polished and use computer to remove all the blemish and remove all the wrinkles and remove all the soil on them. They have polished that. And then you see that on Facebook. Is that him? Is that what she become? My goodness, look at me. Well, I must be the most terrible person. Look at her body. Look at his body. Look at what they drive. Look at where they live. That. Guess what? Most of them are Photoshop. Picture on picture. They take one picture and put it against another background, and you think that is real. And you use that as a yardstick to measure and compare yourself. Tell me, how is that going to work? How do you think you can achieve that? When your friend put a picture on their Facebook to say, oh, last week, this was me at the beach in Hawaii. Meanwhile, last week, they were in Peckham or in Tunbridge or in the village or somewhere. But because they've done a picture in picture, and you're thinking, for the past 5 years, we haven't even gone on holiday, and you start giving your spouse headache. Look at them. They've gone again to Hawaii. No, they didn't go to Hawaii. It's a picture. So if Facebook or any of these social media are your triggers, if they are the things that get you in that mood to start thinking less of yourself and highly of others, avoid Facebook. Avoid the social medias. Those are the triggers. Run away from them. They're not helping you. Number 3, focus on your own progress. Focus on your own progress. You want to stop comparing yourself with others? Focus on your own progress. You see, the happiest people on earth are not just those who make positive comparison with others, but it also includes those who don't make any comparison at all. They instead focus on their own effort. They focus on improving themselves. They focus on challenging themselves to do better, to be greater than they were yesterday. For instance, for those of us that live in this part of the world called the Western world, we think this is life. This is it. This is the epitome of living large and living well. It's not true. You should go to the village, in the rural village, and sit down with some local men and local women and hear not just what they say, but the life that is coming out of them as they express the fullness of joy that fills their heart. It's not about where they live. It's about who they are. It's about finding themselves and enjoying their own company and being the best at who they are. Imagine if you can turn the whole thing around, and all the energy and the time that you are investing in doing your research on who is doing this now, who has got that now. If you use those resources and invest it in yourself, imagine where you will be today. I am my ultimate frame of reference. I am my ultimate frame of reference, just like you are. So track yourself, check yourself, ponder your path, Ask yourself those questions rather than using somebody else as a yardstick for yourself. The next way to stop comparing yourself with others is admit your envy. Admit your envy. You see, the emotions that we don't own will own us. The emotion that we don't have control over will control us. If your issue is envy, because some of this comparison is not because you want to be like them, it's just out of envy. It's out of just pure jealousy. It's out of just bitterness, put it that way. So if you are contending, if you are wrestling with envy, the best way to get it off your back is for you to acknowledge the fact that I'm just, the truth is, Tunde, say to yourself, just admit it, you are envious. You are just envying this person, not for anything, not for any other reason than you are just envious. You see, when you confront yourself with that reality, when you speak out that way to yourself, it gives you the power to conquer that spirit. And then you can even take it further. Assuming you are envious of your neighbor, your colleague at work, your friend in the church, anybody that is close to you, you can even take it further if you really want to break the backbone of envy. Because envy is a spirit. If you really want to destroy it before it destroys you, go to the person that you are envious of and say, do you know what, John? I'm ashamed to say this. But for the past 2 years, I've been so envious of you. I can't explain why, but I'm just so envious of you. In this way, in this area, by this way, just lay down on the table. Guess what? Such open confession, such uninhibited, gut-wrenching openness, it makes you more valuable to that person. They now see you as not just the fact that you are envious of them, but the courage that you have to come and say to them says more about your character than they have ever or could ever imagine. And that is another way to stop comparing yourself. Just go to the person and say, oh, you know what, boy? For years, I don't know how to say this. I'm just envious. Every time I see you in your 3-piece suit on Sunday, I'm thinking, wow, another one again. Look at his shoes. Check that. Look at the trousers. Look at the wig. Look at the this. Look at the that. Just say it. Just break that hold of envy on your life. Another way to stop comparing yourself with others is, how can I say this? Get off your own back. Cut yourself some slack. Be easy on yourself, for crying out loud. You might think you are the only person that's ever struggled with feelings like what we've been talking about, that you are constantly falling short of your own expectations. Guess what? There are many like that. We are all like that. So instead of you beating yourself up and smacking your head down and kicking yourself and punching yourself and really hating yourself, it happens to all of us. So get off your own back. Cut yourself some slack. Self-criticism. Some people have turned it into idol that they worship. They focus on it. And the more they focus on it, the worse they think and feel about themselves. And therefore, the more they think and feel that others are better than them, the more they need the hunger, the insatiable desire to compare themselves with others, to see, why am I not measuring up? Well, you're not measuring up, not because you are not measuring up, but because you are seeing yourself as not measuring up. But if you turn that around, instead of focusing on what you're not doing right or what you're not getting wrong right, if you now turn that around, you focus on what you're doing well. And pat yourself on the back for little achievements that you achieve. And encourage yourself with the little progress that you are making. Imagine how much better your life and energy will be if you can do that. Instead of pulling yourself down constantly, but use that to lift yourself up, to raise your own image and your own perception of who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is we all have our own fears to overcome. We have our own challenges to deal with. We have our own burdens to carry. We have our own gifts to share and lessons to learn. But we will only have and achieve any and all of that when we run the race that is set before us. When we are focused on doing the best we can with what the little that we have, when we give it our best shot, progress will be ascertained. We will seek continuous progress. We will achieve greater things. We will become better every day, every week, every month. Our standard will continue to increase, because instead of spending that energy or wasting that energy trying to be like somebody else, you are now investing the energy in yourself and on yourself to become a better man. Ladies and gentlemen, our time is up. As you can see from what we have talked about tonight, the question we asked at the beginning was, are you your own worst enemy? Are you sabotaging yourself? Are you crippling your own progress? Are you handicapping yourself? Are you stopping your own achievement? And one of the ways that you do that, one of the ways that we do that, one of the avenues by which this is done, unknowingly in most cases, in your life and in my life, is when we start to compare ourselves with others. When we see others as high and we see ourselves as low. When we deliberately refuse to see the good in us, and all that we can see is the bad, the ugly, the inadequacies, the shortage, the not enough, the not measuring up. Nothing grows in an environment of criticism, but everything grows in an environment of encouragement. So instead of pulling yourself down and beating yourself up and condemning yourself and comparing yourself with others, why don't you look at the little you have? Appreciate it, nurture it, develop it, grow it, and before you know it, you've passed those people you are comparing yourself with, and you are flying on eagle's wings. I hope this program tonight has helped you. Like I said, there are 5 of these behavioral patterns that we're going to look at over the next few weeks. Tonight we started looking at stop comparing yourself with others. Don't be your own worst enemy. Next week we will look at another aspect and another aspect, and for each one we look at, we will also look at how you can conquer them, just like we've done tonight. How you can defeat that tendency of comparing yourself with others, so that you can spread your wings and fly and soar and become all that God has purpose for you to become. Once again, it's been an honor to be with you tonight. I hope you have picked up something that from what we have discussed and talked about tonight. And if you have any question in this regard, if you have anything you would like to if you, something is not clear to you, or you just, please drop me a line. Drop me a line. Send me an email. My email address will be on the screen after the program. Just drop me a line. I'm not a fountain of knowledge, but all we can do is to share what we have. I can even learn from you as well. I'm always open to learning. But let us find a way of becoming better at who we are and what we are. That is the essence of this platform. Become a better man. Because we have a purpose. We have a destination. There is a goal that we have set for ourselves. And because we have embarked on this journey, today is the 60th program on this platform. 60, the 60th week of becoming better at who we are on a daily basis, on a weekly basis rather. And guess what? We are not stopping. We will not stop. We will not be discouraged by anything. We will not be derailed by anything. We will not become complacent for any reason until we arrive at that destination where no one can argue with the fact that you and I, we have become better men and better women. So until next week when we meet again, this is Tunde Disu, appreciating you. I honor your time and I love you with all of my heart. God bless you. Have a blessed week. Oh, just before I go, I made a promise to a friend. I don't know if you've heard of Boaz Foundation. Boaz Foundation is a charity organization or an NGO that was set up earlier this year. And the main purpose of Boaz Foundation is to help children, especially in Nigeria and in other parts of the world, to take them off the streets and put them back in school. Take them off the streets, deliver them from hawking and running after the vehicles and all of that, and put them back in schools where they should belong, where they should be, and give them the opportunity to have the basic foundation of education. This organization was launched by a good friend of ours, Dr. Segun Fatumo, and his wife. And I was talking to him earlier today, and he said to me, so far they've rescued about 20 children from the streets and put them in schools. Imagine that. 20 children, 20 lives have been touched and changed by this organization, Boaz, B-O-A-S Foundation. Boaz Foundation. But guess what? He said he was surprised to find out that two of those 20 children, what stopped them from going to school was 5,200 naira. 5,200 naira. Of those 20 that they've put back in school, the one with the highest, the most expensive school fees was about 30,000 naira. 30,000 naira. Well, how much is that in pounds or dollars? So I that touched me. And I made a commitment to him to say, every month I am going to support Boaz Foundation. And I'm using this platform to reach out to you to say, if God will touch your heart. Some of these children, you may never know them, you may never see them, you probably will never meet them. But make a difference in somebody else's life. Give a child, another human being, give him or her that basic opportunity of a good foundation in life. After this program, I am going to post the details about Boaz Foundation on all my social media handles. If God will touch your heart, support this noble program. Help a child. Take a child off the street and put that child back in school. For what? 5, maybe 10,000 naira for a whole term. I think we can all do it. So I'm using this platform, my friends that are out there. Would you support Boaz Foundation? And let us make a difference in the lives of these children. I love you and I appreciate your support of Boaz Foundation. Again, after this program, I'll put the details on my timeline, their website address, their email address. If you know of any child in your village, in your town, that also can benefit from this program, get in touch with Boaz Foundation. I'm sure they will be able to look into it and within the resources they have, accommodate as many as they can. But guess what? Let's give them the opportunity to accommodate hundreds and thousands. For 10,000 naira, we can do it. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you. God bless you. Bye-bye.